Welcome into the Gramlich and McLean podcast presented by Ingles, the official supermarket of Gramlich and McLean. Some people might be thinking, is that Kelly? It is me. Yes, I just happen to have makeup on because I am calling a game in about 2 hours and 15 minutes. So very excited about that. And down here in Tallahassee where it is freezing cold, Mac. But unfortunately, we are talking, no, not unfortunately, we are talking about an ACC championship game. And unfortunately, being in Tallahassee, it of course does not feature Florida State or Miami or Clemson or even Virginia Tech
Just like we knew.
or
Just like
Louisville
we all knew.
or Georgia Tech or any of these brands. SMU, it features Virginia and Duke. But if you missed our episode with Tony Elliott and Darian Mensah, go watch that because these programs, there's a lot of intrigue. Obviously, both have a ton to gain. What Virginia has done is unbelievable. And I do think this could end up being a pretty entertaining game, Mac.
Yeah, no, I think it will be. There's a lot of fun matchups, and even though they just played and it was a little bit lopsided there, things are different when you play the second time. We've seen that time and time again. And interestingly enough, I think every other championship except for the Big Ten is a rematch. And those teams are going to be going against each other for a second time here. So, what does that look like? What do you yearn from it? What do you gain from it? Will be very interesting to see. KG, you're down in Tallahassee. There's an Ingles like a mile away from you. You need to go get some coffee there. You need to get some
Absolutely.
pre-made food that you can be snacking on during your game. But I, of course, will be here holding it down with our guys that we always do. So let's get to a quick message from our friends over at Ingles, and then let's dive into this ACC championship.
Did you know Ingles only sells USDA Choice and Prime cuts of meat? Maybe it's time to reward yourself. Our butchers cut all our meat fresh in the store every day. Grass-fed, organic, you name it. Not only that, we'll even cut it to order just the way you like it. And we grind meat fresh in the store multiple times a day. It's all in the bag. That's the best meat in town for the best folks in town. Ingles, low prices, love the savings.
Okay, Mac, let's dive into this matchup. We really talked like big picture more with Tony Elliott and Darian Mensah. If you missed that, go check it out. But we're going to talk the game today. So Virginia and Duke. Right now, Virginia is a 3.5-point favorite. The total is 57.5, Saturday, 8 o'clock on ABC. I am interested to see what the ratings are, Mac, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. I'm going to throw this crazy stat at you first. Then we're going to talk some Virginia offense and Virginia defense and then Duke offense, Duke defense, and just break down the game. But this stat to me is absurd because we've seen throughout the year what Duke can do when they take care of the ball versus when they don't, right? I'm not sure I've ever seen a discrepancy like this. In Duke's 7 wins, they are plus 15 in the turnover margin. In their 5 losses, they are -8.
Ooh.
I mean, that
Pretty telling.
you all you need to know. And they have 12 total turnovers. Only one of those turnovers has come in a game that they have won. So it's like, it's kind of simple for Duke. They have to take care of the ball. And
Yeah.
I mean, Mensah told us they also have to run it, which I think is very important for them, Mac. But let's just start with that overall big picture. I think that tells you kind of why Duke's in this game, even with their record, because they are so talented. They have so much going for them offensively. But when they don't force turnovers or when they do turn the ball over, it's a disaster.
Yeah, it is. And that's the theme of every game that they've lost. And it's like very apparent. It's not just like a couple sprinkled here or there. I mean, it's big, game changing, momentum swinging,
Right.
turnovers that occur, pick sixes, sack fumbles, other fumbles, things of that nature where you're just like, my God, this is crazy that this is kind of happening there. And that is insane to kind of see that it is such a massive swing there, but also how they got to 7-5. I mean, you have to take care of the ball. You have to, just grow up and show that maturity there, from a team. And when they're on, like you said, they're as good as any offense in the country, being able to push the ball downfield. When you have a guy like Darian Mensah, how good he is, my goodness, he is fun to watch, can do a lot of things with the football. And, I'm excited to see him in this type of level, in this light. I mean, there are players that the bigger the moment, the better they play. And this could be that for both these quarterbacks, just understanding, what's at stake here. And it was pretty cool of Darren. If you guys didn't, listen to it or missed it, go back and listen to that episode with him. He kind of peeled back the curtain a little bit, Duke's quarterback. And, I can't remember who asked him the question, but he said it's kind of relieving, all this pressure, all this stress, all this money. And for him to have the season personally that he did with all these yards, I think he's fifth or sixth in the entire country, only 4 picks. That's incredible. But also getting his team to the ACC championship. I mean, that's it's money well spent. It's a good investment. It's things of that nature. And for him to be able to accomplish that too, it's just kind of pressure off his back. So the interesting thing, now that you've done this, does he play even more free and just let it rip and let it loose? Maybe that's a bad thing though, with these picks and turnovers that could play a factor of this.
Yeah, and I think, a lot of it hasn't been him, right? He's only thrown 4 picks. It's
Right.
fumbles, it's
It's the fumble.
different.
The
Yeah,
fumbles are the big deal.
yeah, and things that have caused issues for Duke. All right, well, let's start with Virginia because obviously they're the higher ranked team. If they win, they're in the playoff. If Duke wins, they are not in the playoff. Is there any
Maybe.
way?
There is a way. JMU is only favored by 30 in their game. If JMU loses, there could be a way. There could be a way.
Thank you,
Just
Mac.
saying.
Appreciate the glimmer of hope that you gave us there. When we look at Virginia, it feels like this offense is really clicking. I mean, the Wake Forest game, of course, Chandler Morris gets hurt. They didn't look great before he got hurt, but they got healthy. They destroyed Virginia Tech. And Tony Elliott talked to us about how he kind of had that talk with Chandler Morris midseason, like, hey, you don't have to do too much. You don't have to be a superhero. Just go be you. And Chandler Morris is playing really, really good football. And he played great football against Duke the first time. He was 23 of 35 for 316. People don't really like in that. If you didn't watch the game, you say, oh, 34-17. It was 31-3 at the end of the third
Yeah.
quarter.
Yeah.
So, Mac, you talk about beating a team twice. Duke obviously didn't play well, but like, does that score matter? I mean, it was
Mhm.
31-3. Like Virginia dominated this team at Wallace Wade Stadium, by the way.
Yeah, it is interesting because you think when a team scrapes by, you think the second time, okay, all bets are like, who
Right.
knows? Anything could happen. When a team is up, like you said, 31-3, and it's just a butt whipping, you tend to think that it won't matter. But psychologically, I'm sure it will, because if you relax and you just ease up, these guys are good too. Duke's really good too when they're on and when they're not giving up 4 sacks in a game and a strip fumble and, all these different things that they did to Virginia, that first game there. So, the fact that it was at home, it was at Duke, makes me even lean. Maybe it won't matter. Maybe it won't be a factor, and Virginia can just flex their muscles and have a really good game and march their way to a championship or excuse me a playoff opportunity here. But there is something to it because there's familiarity. This is a defensive guy, Manny Diaz. He's going to know the ins and outs of what they did. Now they might alternate things and change some things, but he's going to have a great grasp on it and try to have a really good plan. So I wish that I could speak from experience. I cannot. I've never done that,
Mm.
before. I've never played a team twice in a season. But I have to imagine that there is something that either team can maybe hopefully grab to use that an advantage. And we'll see if that comes true or not.
Yeah, and for Virginia offensively, like we've said, they've looked really good. Jamari Taylor, he's been
Freak.
fantastic. I really
Yeah.
like Tony Elliott talking about him. Trell Harris has been really good. Both those guys were very good against Duke the first time.
Yeah.
I think Virginia's offense is going to do their thing, Mac. The big question for me with Virginia is, can they slow down Duke's running game like they did the first time? I mean, they held Duke to 42 rushing yards on 23 carries. And Mensah talked about it. He said, look, we couldn't run the ball. And that was our problem. Like, we have to be able to run the ball. And I'm sure that's going to be a point of emphasis for Duke. But to me, Mac, if Duke can't run the ball, I see this game going very similarly than it did the first time.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing, because if you abandoned the run there and you've done it a couple other times this season, you're not just going to all of a sudden like
Be
forget
able
the
to run.
game plan and be able to run it. Not that you can't because you have for most of the year, but there is something to, different offensive coordinators. If something doesn't work once, or if they feel like they're down and they've got to do something else, they will just throw it by the wayside. They will totally get away from it and just not, stick to being balanced and wanting to run the football. And you have a quarterback that's that talented as Darian Mensah. You're like, this guy will get us back. He will figure it out if we're able to go. And I think the interesting thing, we talked about this with Coach E a little bit, they're coming off their best defensive performance. I mean, they
Yeah.
were electric against Virginia Tech there, and guys having to step up, Cam Robinson being out, other guys filling in, getting their hands on the football, getting to the quarterback, who Kyron Drones, very mobile, very big. I mean, he is a beast. And Darian certainly has some of those abilities, but he's not the runner that Kyron Drones is. And they put that, running attack and tossed it out of the stadium, and it had no attack, for these guys. So I think there's something to capitalizing on the moment, doing what you did, and trying to capitalize even more on that and build, upon the output that they had the first game. Because now it's like, hey boys, we got them. We know what they want to do. We know the personnel. We know who to cover. We know where they're going to try to go, what they're going to try to do running it. We're taking all that away. So that again, the chess match of what did you see before? Are they going to try to do it again? Type of thing is going to be really interesting to see, and just who continues step up, for Virginia here. You look at Marcellus,
Yeah.
Maddox there that had to step up and play for Cam Robinson and balled out. Like, I mean, he looked fantastic, flying around, making a lot of plays. Can he do that again? In the biggest game of the year, and how much pressure is there for those guys? But I think that it's something where Duke is going to have to play a perfect game. I think Virginia just has to play a good game to
Mm.
get it done.
That's interesting. And I do think, the moment, what this game means is
Mhm.
so interesting for these two teams. It's so different. Virginia, I think, is all the pressure in the world's on them, even though, again, the way Tony Elliott was talking about it, it's like, no one expected us to be here,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
But you have the most to gain. Whereas Duke and Darian Mensah told us this, that they were throwing up some tweets. I don't know, maybe an Eric Backlane tweet in
I'm trying to
the
think
team
back if I
meeting.
said anything, and I probably did.
Well,
I'm
just
kinda
your
worried,
code blue.
maybe, and they don't know what that is. They don't know what code
But
blue is.
the idea, right? They're like, "Oh, go Duke." The idea that that nobody wants them to win. Like,
Yeah.
there are some sickos out there who just want chaos and think it'd be hilarious, haha, if the ACC's left out. It's not funny. But, people like us are like, "This will be really bad." So, for the sake of the league, it would be better, obviously, I don't think this is crazy to say,
Yeah.
if Virginia won. So Duke has nothing to lose, Mac. I think there's something to that.
Yeah, there's something to being the villain, and just embracing
The
that
devil,
role and just
the
trying
blue
that's right,
devil.
the Blue Devil, just trying to, wreck everybody's world, and going out there and playing free. It will be interesting to see, um just what pressure and do you see that? Like, do you see it in these quarterbacks? Do they
Yeah.
feel it? Are guys, dropping passes or not hitting the running lanes or not making tackles, just because those lights are bright and it's a big stadium and hopefully there's a lot of people there. Will be interesting to see. There's a couple of things like matchup within the matchup that I'm really interested in kind of seeing. And you heard it from Coach E talking about his quarterback Chandler Morris that he was telling him, get down, don't take as many hits. Like,
Yeah.
we don't need this and that. Well, in this game, you might. And this is playoff football. We want to put our best foot forward, whatever that might be. And Chandler has been very effective this year with his legs. He's been better than that. He's good. He's a great
Yeah.
runner. And I want to see more of that, quite frankly.
Interesting.
I'm going to do a tape of him where it's a designed, zone read where he's just looking right at that defensive end. Is he crashing down? I'm pulling it and I'm gone. There's triple option with the spread, like what Georgia Tech does, where he pulls it. He has an option to throw it out or to run it. And he's good at numbers. Like, he can see it. Okay, it's 3-on-3 out there. I'm probably not going to pass it. Can I get this defensive end to squeeze so I can pull it and go around the edge? And then his creativity. There were a couple of plays against Louisville, against Cal, against Virginia Tech, where everything's covered.
Yep.
He's trying to direct traffic, some late leakage. He's getting out of the pocket, still head downfield, and then just tucks it and runs for 20, 30 yards. I mean, he has all of those abilities. Do we see a little bit more of the zone read? Do we see a little bit more of, QB power? They did a bunch of direct snap, which is kind
I
of a
was gonna
inverted.
bring that up. Like,
Yeah,
the
a little
different red
inverted.
zone wrinkles that
Yeah,
Virginia's had with direct
yeah.
snaps, and they're really hard to stop in that.
Yeah. So they're getting creative there. On the other side, in looking at Duke and just like some of the things that were really impressive to start the season. I look at Anthony Jr. there, the defensive end. He started the season just blowing up, hitting everybody, getting in the backfield. He's kind of disappeared. Can he have a reemergence in this game? And maybe it's banged up, maybe it's injury, maybe it just is what it is. Everybody knows they're sliding to you, they're doubling you, they're chipping you. Can he get back to that? Because, man, he started off super hot, and that would certainly be an interesting thing there. And then just the battle of, Darian Mensah and the Virginia secondary. Like, can he
Right.
get his get back and can he be protected and have time to throw and, extend plays downfield, hit big coop down the field, and get this thing going. So there's a couple of like matchups that are going to be really, interesting to see
And Nate Shepherd. I think he's a big piece here. Can he
for
get
sure.
going?
Yeah.
Because we know Duke needs to run the ball. And Mac, we talked the other matchup, is the coaching matchup. And Manny Diaz, he hasn't necessarily been in this game, but he's been everywhere. Like he has great coaching experience overall. And then Tony Elliott has the experience of this game and what it takes to prepare a team to get ready to win specifically an ACC championship. And Mac, you and I both know this as former athletes. There's something to be said for a team like Virginia that all year has just found a way to win. Like some crazy situations, right? The UNC game, whatever, and a Duke team that honestly at times has found a way to lose. Now they did find ways to win, the Clemson win, for example, but I think there's a mentality there that if this game is close late, we've seen Virginia find a way.
Yeah.
Pretty much every game except for two of them, and one of them they didn't have their quarterback. So I'm the most ACC thing here is that this game is close and Duke wins, right? Like let's be honest. But I just don't see it happening. I think
Yeah.
Virginia is better. I think Virginia understands what they have in front of them. I think Virginia's not necessarily better culture. Like, I'm not going to say that, but just how they've won this year. Like, they're
Yeah.
going to find a way. I'm not sure they're going to blow them out. Like, I think it's going to be uncomfortable,
Mhm.
but I do think Virginia is going to win the game, Mac.
Yeah, well, first of all, and I know you corrected it, but I think both these teams' cultures are great, and
Yeah, yeah. I didn't mean it that
both
way. I
these.
just mean like the
I
way
know. Just
Virginia's
in
found a
case
way
anyone
to
wants to
win.
clip it, I want it to be clear
No,
that
no,
we
no.
both
I'm not
think that.
saying that. But Virginia's just
Um,
found a way. They found a way
yeah,
all year.
yeah, they have, and they've won a bunch of different ways too. You bring up the coaches, and how much does that matter? Manny Diaz was on that staff with Coach Mark Richt in 2017. That
Yep.
got shellacked, by the way, against Clemson.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but he was in the ACC championship. Obviously, Coach Tony Elliott on that staff that beat them, and has been a bunch of other times and won it a ton. So just like scheduling and the stadium and the orientation of the locker rooms and field, there's familiarity, with Coach E. Now, not as the head guy where he has to worry about
Right.
everything. He was just worried about, his side of the ball or his position group, whatever. But I do think that could be an interesting factor, just being in the game. Like he understands it. Maybe the things to say or the downfalls that might be there that he can preface with his team and maybe kind of get them to look at. And then just like, is there a coaching decision? We've seen Manny Diaz make some crazy fun
Mm,
plays, special
yeah.
teams, take some
Well,
risks.
both these coaches have gone for 2
Sure.
in really interesting situations on the road and won this year.
Yeah, yeah, and so does it come down to that?
Yeah.
Vegas thinks this game obviously a 3.5 point game. Does it come down to special teams? Does it come down to a play call that's gutsy? Is that a big blitz that just out of nowhere? Oh my gosh, you call corner cat where? How? You went for it on fourth down where on the field? A fake punt, a fake field goal. So something like that. Does it come down to that? Or which kind of you said maybe you don't think is going to happen. Does Virginia win this by 3 touchdowns? And do they flex their muscles going into this thing, which again, leading at some point of the game was 31-3. And they
I
probably
know.
took their foot off the gas, a little bit there and let Duke score. Actually, they did. I remember
They
that because
did.
that was
They absolutely
my
did.
crazy situation. I was on a
Yes.
plane. I can't remember who I was watching Georgia Tech, Boston College, I think. And
No.
then I flip back over and Duke has like 17 points. I'm
Right.
like, whoa, what happened? What are we doing? How did we get here? So what does that look like? How are they able to make that motivation? Um, Listen, y'all know that I tried to put the big business away. I'm focusing clearly on Duke and Virginia here. I do think Virginia is the better team. I think Virginia gets the win. I think they cover, which is easy to say
Yeah.
here. If you think they'll win, you probably think they'll cover. Um, and they might flex a little bit. We'll see. We'll see. I don't think anybody's been able to do that in the ACC really. Miami this last month, unfortunately. But I think they might show something here.
I think that would be the best case scenario for the
I'm just
league.
an optimist,
Put
just
it that way,
super
Mac.
super positive guy.
Well, okay, let's end here. Speaking of trying to be positive, we're recording this on Wednesday, so the playoff rankings came out last night. What kind of message do you think they sent about the U in this situation?
Yeah, I was pretty frustrated with that actually. Shocker. Because the Ole Miss loses their head coach. At the time of the information was gathered, they lost their play caller. Now that guy's back on offense, but they
Yeah.
didn't know that when they were making these rankings. They moved up a spot for beating a horrendous Mississippi State team. Awesome. Alabama was a fumble away from losing to a horrific
And the way
Auburn
he
team.
talked about Auburn, like,
So dumb.
what are we
So
doing?
dumb. And they moved up a spot. They jumped Notre Dame. And so it's so frustrating that this committee, and listen, Bruce Feldman and some others, like some really big, notable,
Calling it out.
reliable guy. I mean, they're pissed. They're just so dumbfounded at this committee, and it's been that way. I mean, we've seen this, known this, and now I think people are starting to really kind of just not understand and really kind of be baffled by it. I do think it's interesting though that Miami and Notre Dame have gotten closer. I think it's almost, I can't remember if I text you this or not. I think it's almost an insurance play that
Mm,
if Alabama wins,
yep.
which they will stay in, obviously, that puts those guys that close together, making a decision if BYU loses. And I think that gives them the insurance to next week, the last final ranking, Miami jumps Notre Dame. TV ratings, think of all the things. They're leading this up, this massive, crazy
Yeah,
thing.
sure.
Could be. Could be. We'll see. Now you could also sit here and say, well, they haven't done it all year. Why would they do it then? I don't know. We'll see what happens. The other interesting thing is if Alabama loses, people are
Yes.
still begging and pleading, saying they're in. And I just, Nick Saban ain't there. This ain't the same team. No way. So I don't know. Who knows? If that happens, we'll all just put our feet up and say, I guess we knew all the time.
Yeah. I tend to agree with all that. I feel like Alabama's loss to if we're gonna say a tough Auburn team, then we'll say Alabama lost to a tough Florida State team. I don't
Yeah,
know.
no,
Maybe that's the way we're
yeah,
gonna start spinning it, Mac. You're right though, from a TV ratings perspective, they want all the intrigue possible because you have so many teams that are guaranteed anyway. You need some drama at the back end.
yeah.
So we'll see. Hopefully the head-to-head will be acknowledged. But we do know Duke and Virginia are going head-to-head Saturday
That's
night.
right.
Eric Macklin will be there. Dabo's gonna be on set.
How about that? Coach Sweeney,
Pull some
analyst,
strings?
as an analyst. Listen to this. So we will have been in an ACC championship together as a player and a coach, as an analyst and he being a coach. And now it's two analysts. Who has done that? It's got to be the first
Wow.
ever. Got to be the
Wow.
first ever.
Just the
Not
best
too
of
bad.
friends. Eric
Yeah,
Macklin
can't
and
wait.
Dabo Sweeney. We'll be watching.
It'll be a ton of fun. Appreciate you guys always. Going to be a great game. Tune in. Drop your comments. Tell us what you think about this game. Are we spot
Yeah.
on? Are we dead wrong? Where are you with this whole debacle? And let me know about the Canes too. Let us know if you think they're in. We'll see. It'll be interesting how this thing finishes out. But we appreciate you guys always. We'll see you Sunday as soon
Yep.
as these rankings come out. Cannot wait to talk. KG will be traveling the world, but on her PJ, she'll have Wi-Fi. We can go live. We'll do something.
PJ. My favorite part about Ranking Sunday is generally it's Matt coming off of TV and he's normally stressed because they're always trying to screw the ACC. So Mac looks so disheveled. He's got like the tie pulled down and
Yeah.
he's just, what are we doing?
Sad
So yeah,
uncle.
that'll be us
Sad
on
uncle
Sunday.
at the barbecue. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully that won't be me. Hopefully I'll be,
Hopefully not. Hopefully not.
excited. Very excited. We'll see. But appreciate you guys always. Until next time.